So I love fishing a crankbait. It's one of my absolute favorite ways to catch a bass. I have literally hundreds and hundreds of crankbaits. I have whole boxes dedicated to single styles of crankbaits because I absolutely love fishing a crankbait. But the thing about fishing a crankbait is if you're first getting into it and you walk into a tackle store, you're gonna kind of be overwhelmed by all the different colors of crankbaits that there are. So in today's video, I'm gonna open up my crankbait box and I'm gonna give you guys the 3 crankbait colors that I think you guys need to go out and be super successful on the water without breaking the bank. So the first one is going to be either a red or an orange color crankbait. So this color for me is what I'm gonna be throwing in the spring. Now, I wish I could give you a super in-depth, scientific explanation as to why red and oranges work in the spring as well as they do. They just do. I think it kind of has to do with maybe the fish being really cold, and I know there's some science that I've read about how a bass's eyes don't work as well when the water's cold, and that when you're throwing these bright oranges and these bright reds that they can actually see it a little bit better. But all I know is that in my literally 25 years of fishing that I have caught thousands upon thousands of fish on an orange and red crankbait in the spring. And so this is definitely a color that you want to have in the springtime. You want to have it in your box because it straight catches them. And then it catches them all fall and winter too, especially in the oranges. I've had a ton of success. Again, thousands of fish at some points in my life throwing an orange colored crankbait throughout the fall and the winter. And I think it literally just has to do with water cools down, the fish become, want to react to things and come a little bit more reactive. You can get them to react a little bit better and they can see that orange color really, really well. So reddish and orangish color crankbaits are definitely one color that you want to have in your box. The next one is going to be some sort of chartreuse based crankbait. So chartreuse is a color that we as bass anglers absolutely love, and I think some people think that the word chartreuse is made up if they're not in the bass fishing world, but it's not. But some sort of chartreuse based color crankbait. This is like a root beer chartreuse. So you got a little bit of green on the sides, you've got mostly chartreuse on the back, and then a little bit of orange on the belly, but mainly that is a chartreuse crankbait. Now this is definitely going to be for spring as well, but definitely late spring when we start to get a lot of those spring rains that muddy up the water. Chartreuse is just a killer color in muddy water and does a really good job of contrasting darker and muddy water and getting those fish to react. I love chartreuse. Like I said, late spring, kind of early summerish, when those fish are, still up shallow and they still are wanting to eat things. And even during the spawn, like if I'm not bed fishing for fish, I still know that there's fish up shallow, I'll tie on a chartreuse, either like a money badger or a square bill, and I'll just go to work on them because that chartreuse crankbait does a really good job of standing out in that darker water and getting bit. But definitely add a chartreuse color crankbait to the arsenal. And then the last one is going to be one that you guys are probably going to go, well, duh. But if you don't know it, you don't know it. And I want to make sure that you guys know. And that is going to be some sort of shad color or chrome color crankbait. Now I say shad and or chrome because shad can encompass a bunch of different colors. And as you guys can see here, I have this color, which is kind of a shad color too, with just a little bit of chartreuse on it. But this is more of an opaque, like a solid, whereas this is kind of a translucent and more kind of chromey looking. And so having both of these is super important, but having at least one shad color crankbait is absolutely vital because sometimes fish are just keyed in on shad and that is what they want to eat. But now how do you choose between the two? Well, the more opaque and more solid white colors are what I'm going to be throwing on cloudy days when I don't have a lot of sunlight penetration, because those whites do a really good job of contrasting the water really well and standing out in the water when the sun's not shining, versus when the sun comes out, high bluebird skies, post front, and you're still wanting to throw a crankbait and the fish are still kind of seeming like they're wanting to feed on shad. That's when the chrome comes into play. And these chrome, like the chrome sides with a black back, are really good at not only contrasting the water, but contrasting themselves. And the way that they throw light and the way that they flash literally has been scientifically proven to get more bites than other colors will in those scenarios, which is really, really cool. And if you want to watch that scientific data video where I talk about how to pick colors and picking the right colors, click this video that's popping up right here.